Thank you, thank you. I may or may not have used Chat GPT on my bio. Is that okay to admit? I tweaked it, I refreshed it, but it's really hard to talk about yourself. I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited to share with you a little bit of my journey with entrepreneurship. I just finished in April working with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which I cannot say enough good about. It is a fantastic program. And on the slides here, before I get too far ahead of myself, I was going to have you watch this little 2-minute clip. In 2022, we were really, really lucky. We earned the Residents' Choice Award for Sandy City. And they came and did a little blip on our studio. And I think that would help you kind of get an idea of what we do.
I just want these students to leave here inspired with music. I just want them to have music be a part of their life for as long as possible. I've taught piano for 25 years out of my home. 2 years ago, we decided we were outgrowing my home studio.
At one point, we built the business to having almost 90 students coming to our basement in a given week.
It was nuts. We had so many different kinds of people coming in and out.
3 days from the time that we moved in here, COVID hit. We were not allowed to bring students into the studio. So we had to convert everyone to online.
Our teachers had great connections with their students, and it kind of gave everybody a little bit of hope every week to have that friend outside of their quarantine and something to work on. And I think parents really appreciated having their kids have an outlet.
We care about our students, and we know that learning music can really help them. We have students as young as 3. I think our oldest might have been 83 or so. It's never too late to learn music.
We're focused on the individual. We want to make sure that everyone knows that they're unique and they're special. We don't want to make a cookie cutter musician because everybody's got something different to bring.
We're up to 250 students. We have 13 teachers. The majority are either piano, voice, guitar, and we have drum lessons, violin, viola, ukulele lessons. We were growing fast enough that we found a space that's just 5 doors down that will increase our number of rooms.
We have 10 studios that are all soundproof, state-of-the-art drum room that has double soundproofing, and then we have a large performance hall, which I'm so excited about.
We're gonna have so much more space, and it's just gonna be so many more people that we can help.
When we received this award, it was very validating. We feel the excitement and the joy that we have from our students.
I just want to keep doing better for our community. They've been so great to us, and I feel like we're a family and we're building something really awesome here.
Okay, so that was 2022. Now, a year later, if you can believe it, there are times in our schedule where we have all 10 of those rooms that I was so excited about that are filled. And we're holding lessons in the performance hall, which is not ideal. And we're holding lessons in a storage closet when the teacher teaches online. They teach from a storage closet, not ideal. So there's a need. There's a need in the community for what I'm doing, and that's really what I said there is very validating. We're actually in the process too of securing. We've actually just signed a lease in Layton for another 3,000 square foot location to build another site. I'm stoked about it. So the next slide. Okay, so my professional experience started in 1995 when I was in high school. How about you guys? Is that when you started your professional experience? High school stuff, okay. Carrot chocolates was the best because I didn't think it was really a job. I thought I was just a taster, honestly. I mean, the owner told me she wanted me to know what every chocolate tasted like, so I had to, right? I had to eat them all. I worked in food service, so a chocolate shop, restaurants, ZCMI was retail. Have any of you worked retail or food service? Did you want to do it forever? It's kind of the worst. It's a necessary evil that gets us to our next step, right? The next one, maybe.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, my clicker's not, it's not doing it. It's just not want to. All right, in 1998, I started in dentistry. I'll tell you where this is all going in a minute. Notice that 98 to 2017, I worked in dentistry. I worked there for a long, long time. The next one. The reason I worked in dentistry was because that's what I got my degree in. 2001, I graduated with my Bachelor of Science in Dental Hygiene with local anesthesia. I did a thesis because I wanted a bachelor's, not an associate's. I might have pride issues, but I put in a lot of time and effort, and I wanted to make sure I had a bachelor's, so I did a thesis, and I did an emphasis in psychology, thinking that would help with patients in the chair and helping people in distress and make them feel more comfortable. I also plugged along with a little minor in music. Keyboard is my instrument. I love to play. It's relaxing for me, and I had played since I was 5 years old. I just love to play the piano. I worked for 2 or 3 different dentists from 2001 to 2017. Why did it end in 2017? Because I blew 2 discs out in my neck. When you start dropping instruments is when you shouldn't be in people's mouths with sharp objects, right? So it did some nerve damage in my arm. Really sad. My brother's a dentist. I was working with him, and I love him. And it was such a great experience to learn from him because he's an entrepreneur. We learned this from my dad. My dad always had something cooking on the side. Always. It was just a way of life in my family. Okay, and the next one. Fast forward, 2017. I can't do dentistry anymore, but I always had a piano student, like a little niece or nephew or a neighbor student that needed lessons, right? Did any of you take music lessons, piano lessons? No music lessons. Okay, there's maybe, there we go. There's maybe a lady down the street gives lessons. Okay, that was me. I was that lady. And then I got completely kind of overrun. And I thought, I want to be home with my kids. I don't want to be like teaching other people's kids every day, all day. And the list just kept growing. And I noticed a common denominator. Everybody that came to me and said, I need you to teach my kid, they got kind of forceful about it. And I was like, I'm sorry, like I want to be really nice and I care about you, but I cannot spend my entire life teaching everybody's kids. Why? The thing I kept hearing was, we've heard you make it fun. We've heard you make piano lessons really fun and make the kids really want to play. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I cannot be the only one. Like really. I know I'm a spaz in lessons and I would do all sorts of funny things, but I knew I wasn't the only one. And then I went to the local chapter of the Music Association and I said, I think I may be the only funny one. That was funny, guys. So they weren't as enthusiastic and fun and kind of real. I almost feel like music educators, my teacher included, when I was young, got this really like tunnel vision. This is how music lessons should be, always. And if you don't have this discipline, get out, right? Do you remember this? Anybody have this kind of feeling about music? And my husband can attest to his piano teacher actually slapping him on the knuckles with rulers. That used to be a thing. If you did that now, you would be so in prison. But it was an industry that I felt was kind of sitting in the 1900s and it just didn't want to cross over. It did not want to adapt. So I said, okay, let's dedicate our basement. And I'll bring my daughter on because she had just started her college degree. And I felt like you needed some college education to give some validity and knowledge to what you're teaching. So she had started down at BYU doing musical theater. She started teaching in one room. I was teaching in another. And like the video says, before we knew it, we're at 90 students shuffling in and out of my little street. Okay. In 2013, I actually filed with the city. And I created the LLC for piano masters. Okay. When you start a business, you have to file a business license with the city. And my little son at the time needed a merit badge in civil, it was a civil merit badge. So my husband took him down to the city and they got my business license for my little piano music lesson studio in my basement. We thought it was really kind of funny. We were laughing tongue in cheek. Actually, the city council looked at this like, really? I think there's a million piano teachers out there that do this without a license, which is not legal. But they were actually really happy that we'd come. And he went through the process of us filing with the city. We didn't think much of it after that. 2020 dawns, or excuse me, 2017 dawns, my neck hurts. I have all these people who want lessons. My daughter and I are trying to manage 90 people. We start bringing on other teachers in my basement to handle all of these students. And my husband's very conservative, but I knew with my dad and the way he made me think growing up, I knew there was a value here. And I also knew my daughter was getting married and my son was going on mission. I was going to be an at-home mom and I was going to lose my mind without something to do. So I negotiated with a gentleman that would make copies for me at the Help You Mill. He kept talking to me week in and week out when I'd go in for copies. Hey, there's a spot down here. Hey, there's a spot down here. And he helped me negotiate my very first sublease. I'd never done anything like that before. I came home with a sublease in hand because I knew he would have like a major gasket if he knew I was doing anything like that. So I made sure it was clean, beautiful, wonderfully presented. And I had 18 months to prove that this could work on buying a sublease, which was very cheap. This guy was motivated to leave his space. That's how you get a cheap sublease, by the way. He wanted out. So he actually paid a little bit every month. So I only paid a lot less. So that's when we opened the doors in 2020 for Sandy Music Academy. We doubled our first year because of Corona. Everybody was online. And the second year we doubled as well. And from this taping, we're now over 300 students in Sandy. Now, this seems like the whole story, but I think I would be not giving you a full flesh out if I didn't tell you what happened in here. Go ahead. In 2002, a year after my degree, I'm sitting home with two babies under 3. And I said, yes, I want a facial. And at the facial, I said, yes, I want to run my own business. Because I looked around, I knew the product was good. And I said, if they're going to do all the work, I'll sell this makeup. You bet. I love it. I want my makeup free. And the way my mind works with entrepreneurism, because you're always thinking, if you guys are the people like I am, you're always thinking, right? Always. So I actually played by the rules, ran up the ranks, and in 6 years, I was in the top 2% of Mary Kay Cosmetics. I was what's called a senior director. I had 2 levels above me, but I wasn't making 6 figures. Does that seem weird to you guys? Way weird, right? And I knew how much time I was putting into it. I knew what a bang up job I was doing. I was at the point where I was training directors under me. I mean, I was doing all their onboarding, their training. I was finding everyone. I was selling all this product. I was not at 6 figures and I was not happy about it. So I resigned. Okay, after 6 years, I said, forget that. Next one. As a joke, I have a sister-in-law who makes 6 figures on a food blog. Okay, and I'd complain about it. Complain. I was like, are you kidding me? That's big as crap. So I complained so much about it. My husband said, you can like either shut up or do up. You know, like do it or be quiet about it. And I was like, okay, I'll show you. But I couldn't cook. So I knew I could read. And I knew Twilight was coming out, right? And I knew Twilight bloggers were making good money. And I said, oh yeah? Oh yeah? I'm going to guess what the next one's going to be, right? So I started Hunger Games. And I started City of Bone. Well, the author got a hold of my site. She noticed what was happening. And I got a call from Sony Pictures and they said, can you come do an on-set report? We'll fly you out to Toronto. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I was laughing inside because I was literally, it was no-brainer work. I was putting these little blog posts out. I built a Twitter following of almost 30,000 people. Sony Pictures is flying me out there. They flew me out for the red carpet. And I saw everything behind the scenes, right? And I was like, this is crazy. This is just mad crazy. And that was like a little flash for a couple of years. And then it was done because the first movie didn't do well. And
I have a quick question on that part.
yeah.
What made you like as a blogger? How was the transition from like you are now from a top 2% in a company, but suddenly you're working on and you have to maintain your site and publish your stuff, like just how was the switch? How did you feel about the switch?
A lot less work, a lot less physical work, but here it never shut off, ever, right? Okay, and then the next one, capitalist cookies. Have you heard of capitalist cookies? No, I know. You know what I thought would be a really good idea in 2010? Warm cookies. Don't people always want warm cookies? Warm homemade cookies. And don't they want them delivered? They do. Late at night with fresh milk. They really do. Yep. You haven't heard of mine though, huh? Have you heard of any?
No.
You haven't heard of any cookies? Warm, delivered?
Maybe crumble.
Crumble? Brave? Dirty dough? It's like a bajillion $1 million industry right now. Okay? That lasted 6 months. Okay, all right, and then the last one is, oh, my kids. My kids are getting like 10-ish, 11. And Mom, I want money for this. Mom, I want money for that. I'm like, oh, you want money? Okay, this is where money comes from. You ready? We're gonna go and find shoes. I can't remember. It must have been some family meeting of some kind that we settled on this. But we went to the thrift stores, found fabulous shoes, had a whole factory set up in a room, and my kids would clean these shoes. We'd take great pictures, we'd put them on eBay, and we resold shoes. We called it New to You Shoes. And that was our little family eBay store. My kids really understood business after that. Okay, so all of this just seems like a total mess, okay? I am not schizophrenic, I promise. But this is a lot. And this shows you how much my mind is always going. Even now, right? My mind is always going. So the next slide will tell you more important than what I just talked to you about. Go ahead and click again. Up here, with the food service, the retail, I learned customer service. And with dentistry, I learned about making people comfortable. It's a really good skill, a very good skill to have. Okay, and the next one. The psychology classes, they paid off. I knew they would pay off as a mom, but man, did they pay off, you guys. You understand what motivates people. I remember I took child psych, adult psych, abnormal psych, aging psych. They probably call them all different now, but I went through the whole life cycle, and I would tell you it's a wonderful thing to do. Okay, next one. Mary Kay taught me how to run my own business. This is where I was introduced to how to track an inventory, how to invoice, the taxes. Oh boy, the taxes. Sales, how to sell, public speaking, how to onboard people and train them. And then most important, the next one, I learned margins. Remember I told you I wasn't making a 6-figure income? But boy, was Mary Kay making 6 figures off me. Okay, and then the next one. The blogging, I learned social media. Oh my word, social media can be so fun, but it can be so consuming, okay? You can lose all of your time to social media. I learned the importance of buzz and event planning, like I told you, when I saw behind the scenes, when I went on set of a movie, when I went to the grand opening, I learned all of those things which are super important in being a business owner. And the next one, New to You shoes, or excuse me, capital cookies. I learned about opportunity loss. Okay, I had obviously a $1 million idea. In 2010, you guys. Why am I not the owner of Chroma right now? I'd be retired in San Diego. Okay, and then the next one. The family eBay store was again, inventory, limited inventory this time. And time management again, because we had it down to the second, how long it took to buff a shoe, retie a shoe, or relace a shoe, take a picture of a shoe, post a shoe. Like all those things I had down to the second because we wanted to know how much we were making per minute, right? And I'll tell you what, we weren't making enough for that one to be a winner. Okay, next one. Oh, again, margins, because eBay, they got rich off us too. Go ahead. So I'm convinced anyone in this room, myself included, my dad was right. And I will go to my grave saying about anybody that's watching this, anybody in the sound of my voice, you can do anything. You truly, truly can. But you can't do everything, and you can't do it all at once. You're controlled by time, and time is finite, and the way you make the most amount of money, is that why we're all here? Getting a business degree. Yep, making the most money for you, and making a lot of money for your employees, making a lot of jobs, helping the economy, right, and your community. You have to be the master of time. That's your finite resource. It's the only limit you have. Maybe capital, but all right, and then the next one. So with all of that background, how did I end up where I'm at? According to a study by Digital Music News, out of roughly 7.5 million artists who sell their music online, only 38,000, is that right? What percent? Will become successful enough to be considered professional. So I looked at those odds and I said, I'm all in. I'm just kidding, they're terrible. They're terrible odds, you guys. But there's another 99+% of people who are fighting and working at music constantly, right? Some with the dream to become that professional musician. And there's levels of professional musician, there really are. I employ teachers who are professionals. They run gigs all around Utah. And they make pretty decent money doing it. So you've got a huge industry, right? Okay, next slide. So my story was all about need. I am where I am because my margin in this industry and my niche here, I always had that student on the side, out here chasing millions with always a student on my side. The margins on that money were so big because guess what? 100% of it was mine. 100%. I was charging for my time, right? But again, time is finite. When I saw the need of this growing list, I said, we need teachers who are fun. We need teachers who will move it along into this century. And I'm going to go find them. And I'm going to teach them to be like I did, or like I do. And I feel sad that they haven't found that, but since I found it, I'm going to make it work for me. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how we ended up where we are. Let's keep going. One thing Goldman Sachs taught me for the first day I went home, and they taught me to think about my exit strategy. I was going into that program thinking, I'm going to make so many music academies. It's going to be crazy. They're going to be everywhere. I'm going to make tons of money. And the first day they're telling me about my exit strategy. What is that about? I'm so excited about exit strategies. I encourage all of you, when you start your ventures, always be thinking about your exit strategy. You've heard the saying, you don't, your house is only worth what people will pay for it, right? You can say real estate is worth X amount of dollars, but really it's not until it's sold. That's how much its value is, right? That's where your business exit strategy comes in. I look at my business and I say, because I've just had this conversation, I'm tired. Running a business is work. I'm tired of this. What can I sell it for? Is it worth it to me? What if I just hurry and push out 2 more academies? I guess that triples my exit strategy. Actually quadruples it. Is it worth pushing out 2 more studios to quadruple it? I think so. But this is where you start to say, what's my investment as far as time? Because time is finite, right? Okay. So the steps to launch a business, guys, I don't want to go too long. The steps to launching a business in my, like if I were to sit down and start another business tomorrow, which I probably will. Number 1, you have to define the need. What is the need? Have it met with a safety net, because too many people, I think, go out there and they start businesses and they meet a need and they think, did it, done. But you never know what's coming around. If you want to be a smart business owner and take the risk out because you have a really conservative person in your life, you want a safety net. What's my safety net? Well, I have a studio with 30 teachers. That's how I have a safety net. Because I had a teacher yesterday that couldn't get her car to start. I have another teacher. What? Guitar lessons aren't cool anymore? Somebody made the accordion the biggest fad, or the cello, excuse me, the cello. Wednesday Addams made the cello really popular, okay? So now I have cello teachers, but I'm not gonna rely on that because one day cello is gonna be discovered to be kind of hard, right? And we're gonna go back to piano. I don't know, who knows? Things change, things happen. So have a safety net when you're meeting your need. Number 2, you go through the business and licensing process like we kind of touched on. Number 3, you have to decide what your product is. Is your product a tangible product? Is it something you make, create? Or are you in the service industry? What is my product? Can anybody tell me what my product is at Standing Music?
Service.
What's that?
Service. The service.
Service. Yeah, but I mean, is that a commodity? What am I selling?
Your music. Your
Huh?
knowledge. Well, your knowledge.
An experience.
Knowledge, experience. You're getting there. What am I limited by? Think about what I'm limited by. Because I could have unlimited amounts of people come through my studio at any time and tell them everything I know about music and charge them as they come in and out the door.
Your time.
I'm selling time. I'm selling 30 minutes space in a room. And now I have 10 rooms, right? That's what I'm selling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Think about what you're constrained by. That's what you're selling. My unit is literally time with an instructor. But I would say my highest commodity is my people, right? Because without my people, I don't have that time in a room. Okay. Next, you have to think about where your presence is going to be. Some people would call this location, right? Are you going to be online? Are you going to be brick and mortar? Are you going to be a food truck? Are you going to come to their home and groom their dogs? Where is your presence? And I'm going to add this. No lie, you guys. I have my brand colors, fonts, all of it right here. And I just know what fits. I just know what fits and what I'm trying to put across. And I'm pretty darn stuck to it, no matter what other people say. I'm stuck to it. And you know what? Weird. I went on a dream vacation because we've been married 25 years. I'm sitting by the pool in this dream hotel, somewhere I've always wanted to be. And I look up and I'm staring at my brand colors and my brand font. How weird is that? That's so weird. Okay, marketing. How are you going to market? When are you going to market? Who are you going to market? And then last is tracking. All of this starts a business, right? This is your steps to launch. Great job, you have a business. You launched. Are you going to be successful? We don't know. Because unless you track everything, that's where you find where your success is, right? That's where you hone in on what's successful and what's not. You hone in on where your marketing dollars go. You find out what is working, what isn't working, more importantly. Stop wasting money on it. And then that's where you create your systems to run your business. That make sense? Okay, and that's that slide. We can, oh, we can pass through that one. Sorry. I was gonna go through standing music with you guys and show you how I went through it, but I feel like we didn't. Go ahead. Okay. Key performance indicators, who knows what a KPI is? Do you all know, kind of? I didn't know what that meant until I went to Goldman Sachs, and I've been running the business for 3 years. Okay, these are my key performance indicators. I've been tracking all of them, I just didn't know that's what they were called. Okay, so your revenue or gross is 100% of what it's coming in your door. Your product cost, some people call it COGS, right? The cost of goods sold. Mine is actually a cost, because it's the cost of service. My product cost, if you're over 50% on a product cost, I don't think you're gonna last very long. That's my personal opinion. I think there's professors who are way smarter about this that would know better. But my expenses, I try to keep under 25%. I try to keep my product cost under 50%, right? And in my product cost would include like my payroll, right? And then my profit, hopefully, is that remaining 25% or more. So your COGS and your expenses, whatever's left over is your profit. Are you with me? Okay. And then if you've got 25% or more coming into you as a profit, are you profitable? Yes, yes, you are. It's helpful for me to know my cost per student when I'm marketing. I know that it costs me $85 per student. When I spend my marketing dollars, that's how many students I get for $85 is one. Does that sound profitable to you? Sounds expensive. Maybe is the right answer. My return on investment, I also know that my students stay 10 months with me on average. So now I can do something, can't I? I can say, if they're with me for 10 months and it's this much tuition, then the average student brings in blank. If I subtract $85 from that, do I have a good sum of money left? I do. Profitable. Okay. To market that like that. Okay, and then leads and registrations is important. Why would I want leads and registrations? Why would I want both of those numbers? How many people walk in the door or call or look at us online? Compared to how many people actually register for lessons?
Your potential market, let's say, the function.
You can look at your conversions. Call a conversion, right? Am I talking like you guys already know this stuff? Anyway, okay, so that's your conversions. And then withdrawals and enrollment, I like to put those side by side. How many am I losing every month? If it's more than 5%, we have a problem. And Kristen throws a fit. We need to get everybody together and we need to change something. I don't want to lose more than 5%. Because it costs me $85 to get every one of those in my door.
When you see like an increase in loss of students, like what do you do to figure out the issue? Do you reach out to them and be like, why did you leave? Or do you just talk to your teachers?
Yep, 100%. We do surveys all the time. Every recital I do a survey. But I will tell you on my exit form, my withdrawal form, there's a space for reason. I can tell you the percentage that leave because they're too busy with homework. They're leaving to play a sport. They're leaving because of finances, and I have a scholarship to help with that because I wanted to lock that up. Yeah, so I have columns that tell me how many are leaving for what reason. And then I try to stopgap each of those reasons, right? I don't always blame the teacher because somebody's got to represent them too. I got to sugar them to keep them there, right?
How about your mom and what her role is?
Oh, my cute mom is retired in St. George, and she worked in the dental office for years and years and years, and she's like the biggest people person ever. So she started calling my students the day after their first lesson. How was your first lesson? Tell me about it. How did they do? Great. Any changes we can make to make them more comfortable at their next lesson? Okay, Well, I'm gonna call you every 6 months because I just wanna make sure that you're happy. We wanna make any changes we can to make everything 5-star experience for you. Here's a crazy part, you ready? The last 6 months, she's had health issues and hasn't been able to do it. I had more withdrawals in the last 6 months than I've had the entire time I've known her. Is she worth her money?
Yeah, definitely.
And she's irreplaceable. It's hard. It's hard.
And such an easy tactic to implement. So easy that it affects your retention rate.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, one thing about my industry, right? I'm getting more and more parents. Utah's really huge on fine arts, right? Huge. I have competitors every 5 steps. I really do. I have tons of competitors. I don't really look at what they're doing other than I started getting students from other places and they were doing things like to hurt themselves, injuries. Okay. So I said, you know what? We really need high level music education. Like somebody needs to filter these people that are teaching, you know what I'm saying? So people don't get hurt. And so we have all of that going on. And more I'm getting families come in and parents are like, we don't know how to play. So we're just kind of blindly trusting you. That's a lot of trust, right?
Yeah.
So we're kind of implementing ways to help those parents at home, like you're saying, it's such an easy thing to help them feel comfortable. I think that 6-month check-in, because music, I mean, kids complain all the time, right? I don't want to practice, are you kidding me? And mom's working all this money. They have to know how to practice. They have to know how to succeed at home. And I think that that's a huge part of what I do that we've kind of cornered in on.
So do you track like, so you say that averagely a student spends 10 months at your academy. Do you check where they go after?
Where they go after? Yes. We have an exit survey and we ask them to stay in contact because we like to keep up on our alumni. They'll send in pictures for newsletters. We just had a teacher that made the choir at Tabernacle Square. Always we spotlight and share with our community, highlight students and teachers alike.
Or do you sometimes see that as a business opportunity as then after the finish? Where are you going next?
Where are you going? Yes. Because if they're going to University of Utah on a scholarship, they just left my academy and went straight into the University of Utah music department on scholarship. So are we giving something valuable?
Sure.
And that's another thing I try to keep in contact with the music departments at the local universities. Why do you think I'm building in Layton? Seems weird.
That's it.
It's strategic.
Weaver.
You have Weber State University, excellent music program. I have a pool of excellent high-level teachers right there. And demographically, I mean, I could have put it in Ogden, but I ran market demographics, okay? Affording music lessons can be difficult, right? It's expendable income or dispensable. I'm not great, you guys.
Disposable.
Disposable. It's disposable income. So there, you have to go in a market that can afford that, right? So Layton has the demographics that Sandy does, so I know it can be supported by the community. And I have Weber State right next to it. Where do you think I'm going next?
Take what you put on.
I'm heading south.
Orem.
Yeah. But Orem's demographics, not quite. So I'm going to Spanish Fork. Anchors, right? And as a little side note, you might find this interesting, you guys. I feel like you like strategy. My biggest competitor has approached me multiple times. Wants to buy my location. Loves Sandy. He just wants Sandy. He owns everywhere. Okay? He's everywhere. But he cannot get Sandy and it bugs him. And at first I was like, oh, well, this is my baby. And now I'm kind of laughing like, you just can't get it, can you? And so I don't know what's gonna happen when I pop up in those two places, but I have found my niche that makes me different from him. And that's truly the first time he approached me. I asked him what was important to him, and it was different from what was important to me. And that was gonna change my whole business, and I wasn't about that. So if you feel strongly about something in a business, but it has to be a certain way, stick to it. Stay true to your warm cookies. Any other questions?